All right, now that it is 2 minutes past the 30-minute mark, we'll go ahead and get started on the Verkada and Net-Ctrl co-hosted webinar. So a quick introduction on your Verkada host. So my name is Lauren Spears. I'm on our partnerships team here at Verkada, based in our London office. And I'm joined by Brooke Bloomfield on our account management team. She's also a product specialist and will be running through the Verkada platform demo to showcase the Verkada vape sensor. And then we'll do a quick intro to Verkada, what's new, some of the updates related to our vape sensor, describe a bit about our hybrid cloud architecture, how it all works, and then we'll jump into a live platform demo with Q&A at the end. So for people that do have questions, be sure to post that question within the Zoom Q&A section rather than the chat, so we can make sure we get to those questions at the end. All right. And then, of course, as a token of our appreciation for joining, all attendees who join our webinar will receive a Verkada Yeti mug, which is what you see here on the right. It's perfect for keeping hot things hot, cold things cold. It's certainly a fan favorite. And then just some housekeeping items. After the webinar, you'll receive an email just to confirm your preferred shipping address for the Yeti. And you just have to be based in the UK, Ireland, Benelux, France, US, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand. Then we can go ahead. So just a little bit of background on Verkada as a company. So the company's been around since 2016. So we turned 7 years old earlier this year. Worldwide, we have over 20,000 customers, 2,000 employees across 16 different offices, 9 different countries. And our EMEA HQ is here in London, where we've got just over 100 employees based right in the heart of London in Shoreditch by Old Street Roundabout. And our goal here at Verkada is to create the most modern enterprise system. So when it comes to gaining valuable insight into what's going on across your different campuses, really making that a very modern and easy to use experience, which Brooke will showcase here in a minute or two, with the vision to protect people, assets, and privacy of students and staff. And then with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Brooke.
Thanks, Lauren. So just to give you a bit of background on the Verkada vape sensor, you may be thinking, so how does it actually work? How is it stopping vaping? So as you can see here on the screen, how it works is when vaping occurs, you receive an SMS or email. You can deploy these units without audio, pair with Verkada cameras to detect vape events, bullying, which I'll go into a bit more detail further on in the webinar. And they're really easy to install, fully integrated systems you can manage from anywhere, and you can add unlimited devices. We have schools that have 30 devices and more. We have schools with 3 devices. So it just depends on sort of the needs of the school or college. You may recognize a couple of these schools on the screen. Lots of these schools here deploying vape sensors to combat this issue, as I'm sure you're all well aware of the huge issues with vape sensors. Vaping is a global issue at the moment, so schools are looking for a solution to combat this. I'm sure everybody on the webinar will recognize a couple of these schools on the screen listed. And then alongside that, a couple of logos that you may recognize regarding schools that are utilizing the Verkada vape sensors. Just to give you an overview about how the Verkada vape sensor actually works and how it captures that full vape life cycle. So the camera records every entry and exit from the bathrooms. We recommend to put the vape sensors in bathrooms, in changing rooms. The vape sensors are not cameras. The cameras are separate products. Once you've mounted that sensor, it detects real vape events. You'll receive that text message or email via that instant alert, and it allows you to combat vaping straight after it's happened. With that video integration, you can clearly identify students going into the toilets lots of times, and then you can collate that with the vape index going off. So as you can see on the bottom part of my screen, that's what a text message would look like. It just helps you monitor and decrease the number of incidents over time. I mean, schools that we've worked with have mentioned that vaping has almost been eliminated because they're able to recognize the students who are vaping more often and obviously manage that behavior accordingly. In terms of a bit about the backend infrastructure, it's a hybrid cloud product. So as you can see here, no backend infrastructure, simply just the environmental sensor, the cloud, and then the command platform, which is our web-based management platform. In terms of cloud-based, it's very reliable from a security standpoint. You can monitor it from anywhere. So if you're actually not based at the school, college, or university, you can monitor that from home or from a separate office. And as I mentioned before, you can scale that out to as many sensors as you require. In terms of the integration between sensors and security cameras, so it doubles the value of that environmental sensor. You simply it's one click, you add the camera to your sensor, and then you can gain that visual insight into an environment, capturing that evidence and context. This was actually an image of a day's work with a Verkada vape sensor. I'm sure everyone on the webinar is really familiar with this photo here. All different vapes, and I guess they keep making them, so vaping isn't sort of an issue that's going to be going away anytime soon at this rate. Just a bit of sort of back-end information on the Verkada vape sensors. We actually released the Vape Sensor 2.0, so that's 25% more precise, and that's deployed to all of our customers. With our vape sensors, we have automatic updates. So, for example, if there was an update in the future, they wanted to increase something on the vape sensor, make it more precise, you're constantly going to be getting these updates. There's no extra cost. They're simply just pushed out to the device automatically. So this is our sensor promotional pricing page. As you can see on the screen, I'll leave this on for a couple of moments, but this is the pricing breakdown. So with 20 or more sensors on a 1-year license, you're looking at £545 per sensor. 20 or more sensors on a 3-year license, 655. As you can see here with the license, all of our products, including sensors, have a license. So you'll pay for that hardware once, and then you'll pay a license cost, as you can see on the screen. If you require breakdowns, we can send that out. In terms of this discount, so this discount is available now until the end of October. And if this is something you're interested in looking at further, definitely feel free to contact the Verkada helpline. Something that's come up a lot for us is how do you message the community, parents, students about this issue? So with vaping, it's more about educating the students. So not so much discipline. Of course, discipline comes into play, but it's about educating the students, starting a conversation. A conversation I have quite frequently is vapes are actually marketed to children. And I think it's important to open up that conversation with the child to say, look, it's dangerous. You probably don't want to be doing this, and it can cause lots of health issues. As you can see here, so educators seeing the results of these intervention methods rather than punishment. They have the evidence alongside those interventions, which helps educate children to stop vaping. And then it helps identify the root cause. So you can essentially wipe out vaping in school. If you've got any further questions about how we've managed vaping, feel free to drop that in the question box below. I'm now going to hop into the actual platform. So first thing to know, Verkada, we don't just manufacture vape sensors. We also manufacture a full suite of products. As you can see here, cameras, access control, air quality sensors. These are our vape sensors, alarms, intercom, guest and mailroom. But in terms of air quality sensors, as you can see on the screen, all of your sensors would live here. So let's say you have a teacher who's managing floor 1. She'll have access to the floor 1 sensors, floor 2, the floor 2 sensors, etc. But if we zoom into our London sensor, just so we can show you how it works. So as you can see here, all of the different variables, schools have taken advantage of the vape index and noise level. If we just start with vape index, for example, as you can see here, all of the vape events that have occurred on the screen. So for example, here, if we click into this event, we can see here our colleague vaping in the demo room. And then as you can see, that's followed by a spike in the vape index. In terms of actually setting alerts, how it works is you simply just set a trigger. We recommend putting it in around the orange to red zone, and then you can add as many users as you want. So at the moment, I'm actually currently here to receive notifications on the vape sensor, but you can add them on as planned. And then with noise level, This can be used for bullying, antisocial behavior. You don't want sort of lots of groups of children in the toilet. You may only want a couple, but this will help you manage that situation. So if noise level spikes, you can set those triggers, as I showed you before, and you'll get a notification if noise level sort of goes above and beyond. One question we do get asked quite a lot is, what happens if children tamper with the vape sensor? Will I know if this is being pulled down? Things thrown at it, things like that. So you can actually switch on tamper notifications. If I click over here, what that means is if a child tries to pull the sensor down, hit the sensor, you'll get notified. So you're always going to know what's happening with your Verkada vape sensors. A couple of things to know in terms of the visuals of the product. So as you can see here, you can set up dashboards. Some schools put these in the head teachers' offices, but you'll be able to see all of your different sensors on one screen, and you can manage it that way if the head teacher just wanted to sort of manage the sensors across the school. And the last part of the platform I thought would be good to show everybody was the analytics. So as you can see here, you receive analytics on how many alerts have been placed. So as we can see, 7 alerts last week, 4 alerts this week. Schools have used this in maybe parent-teacher evenings to show, look, this is what we're doing to combat the issue. And you have that visual proof to show this is what we're doing regarding the Verkada vape sensors. Last thing to note on the system is if there are any issues with your system, you need some help, you had a question, you simply just can click on that live chat help box and it will route you to one of our engineers who can help you resolve that issue. All of the Verkada vape sensors have a 10-year warranty. So any hardware failures in the first 10 years, that's replaced at no additional cost. You also have access to support if you need it. I'm going to stop sharing now. Just wanted to open up the floor if there were any questions about the Verkada vape sensors.
Yeah. Looks like Chaz just shared one about what infrastructure do I need to support the sensors? So I suppose, how are they powered? And is there anything beyond that that's required?
It's a great question. They're powered by PoE. You need access to a Cat5 or a Cat6 cable. For further install guides, we can send a PDF document to explain how the sensors are installed.
And then it's how many sensors would you recommend for a toilet, and how to determine the number of sensors required?
So we recommend 1 sensor to every 3 bathrooms. That's dependent on if they're floor to ceiling doors or if they have a small gap in the middle. If there's a small gap, you can use 1 sensor for every 2 to 3 bathrooms. Some schools just put 1 sensor in the middle of the bathroom. It really depends on the layout of the toilet, whether they're floor to ceiling and things like that. But we could definitely explore that in further conversations.
Let's see. Do you have any reference sites within the UK that would be open to serving as a reference?
So we do have lots of sites in the UK. I'm sure lots of the customers will be open to references, and we can definitely get that organised. On our website, we have a reference from Stanford Academy School that was able to deploy vape sensors and notice that difference. There are a couple of other schools that we're working with across the UK, so we can definitely follow that up with some references from customers.
And then what happens if the license expires? I noticed that there was 1 year and 3 year and 5 year options.
If the license expires, you simply just renew the license. You'll get in contact with the representative at Verkada you were working with, and you simply just renew that license. Most schools we work with tend to opt in for the 3-year license term, but that's dependent on your requirements and budget.
Yes, and something else to note is that the hardware is always a one-time cost. So the hardware itself, the sensor, is yours to keep for forever, and it has that 10-year warranty on it. So you would just renew the license portion only. And then we've got 1, 3, 5, and 10-year options. But like Brooke said, 3 years certainly what most schools go with. And then another question was, would you be able to review that pricing again to go back over it? Within the deck.
Yes, I can reshare my screen. Let me hop into that now. What we can also do is, if you're interested in a quote, for example, we can get that sent out after the presentation. One thing to note with the Verkada vape sensors that I think is quite valuable, we offer a free trial across all of our products, but most importantly, sensors. So what schools have done is they've put this up in bathrooms. They have a target bathroom that is the worst. I put that up, test that out, and then you'll be able to see how it works in your environment for 30 days before sort of looking at purchase options. But for the pricing page, if you wanted to take a screenshot or just write some notes, I'll leave that up for a couple of moments.
Perfect.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, if you needed quoting, we can provide quoting to anyone who requests it through us. You can either get in contact with Brooke or myself, which is chaz.floyd@netcontrol.com. I'll just pop that in the chat as well, so you've got that for reference. Also, if we are looking at installing them, they do obviously, as Brooke mentioned before, run by PoE. So should you need cabling install support, we are also able to help with that as well, or switching if you need it to have the full solution installed into your schools. Again, more than happy to quote that.
Awesome. I think that's everything. I think we covered all of the questions. So thank you to everyone that was able to join. We'll be